Good morning, everybody. Let's just take a breath together as we move into June, this first Sunday of the month of June. And my usual remarks are, can you believe it's June already? Can you believe it's a new month already? And of course, in this new month, we have a new theme and today a new topic, of course. But the new theme for the month, the overarching theme is service. And the tagline, I guess you'd call it, for that is walking each other home, walking each other home, walking each other home. I really like that line. I really like the concept of walking each other home. What it reminds me of the first time I saw that was that remembering being a child and having playmates come in the summer or after school. And when it's time to go home, we'd walk each other home. I'd walk my friend partially home, and then we turn around and walk back toward my house. And then we turn around and walk back toward her house. And so we had a chance to spend more time together, and we had a chance to talk more. We had a chance to be present to each other. We had a chance to just really share our time together. So we spent a lot of time walking each other home. And that's what this reminds me of. Whenever I think of walking each other home, what kind of time do we spend with each other? And I'd ask you to really consider, what does walking each other home mean to you? What does that conjure up for you? What does that make you think of when we're talking about walking each other home and how that fits into service? And you know, what we really have to consider is, what is home? Where is home? What does that mean to you? And I'll be asking a lot of questions today of you. What does that mean, walking each other home? And you know, when we're looking at the idea of service, Ernest Holmes says that we should come together in love and service to others in a spirit of generosity and of fellowship. We should come together in love and service to others in a spirit of generosity and fellowship. And that's what service is all about. That's what walking each other home is all about. It's about coming together in love. It's about coming together in service to others. And as we serve others, we're serving ourselves. And so that's what we're really looking at today, walking each other home. What is service all about? Where is home? Home is that place of oneness. Home is that place of unity. And that's what we're walking each other home to unity, to oneness, to walking each other home to ourselves, to the truth of who we are. And I think that with so much going on in the world today, with so many things happening to distract us, with so many things happening to cause pain, to cause shock, to cause division and divisiveness, with so much happening to cause our sense of separation to grow even deeper, wider, if you will, then we have to see what it is that we're being called to do. What is it that we're being called to do to heal that sense of separation? What is it that we're being called to do when we think of the song "Use Me"? What are we really saying? What are we opening ourselves up to? Use me. We're being called to be used to bring that to end that sense of separation, to move into that place of knowing that we are one, moving into that place of knowing that there's only one, moving into that place of knowing that that one life, that one power, that one presence is our very life. It is my life. And if it is my life, it is a life of each and every one of us. It's the life of each and every person we meet. And so we have to keep that in mind as we go through this time of walking each other home. We go through this time of walking each other home to unity. We go through this time of walking each other home to love, because that's what service is all about also. It's about unity, it's about love. It's about love. And that takes me to what the topic is today, and that is, what's it all about? What's it all about? And I smiled because when I first mentioned that topic to Nicole, I said to her, somebody's gonna break into song about what's it all about, Alfie? And she had no idea what I was talking about. I couldn't believe she didn't know Alfie. And I thought, has it really been that long ago that song came out? and a few days later, my organizer was here. And I said to her, Nicole didn't know what Alfie is. Do you know what if I'd say to you, what's it all about, Alfie? Do you know what that means? And she said, no. And I thought, oh, it couldn't be that long ago. But at any rate, Some of you there know what I'm talking about when I say, what's it all about, Alfie? But you know, the words go to, what's it all about, Alfie? You know, what's it all about? What is it all about? What is it all about? And I'm not going to sing it, but what is it all about? And it keeps trying to sing through me. But you know, what we know is that service is all about, and walking each other home is all about unity. It's all about coming home to oneness. It's all about coming home to love. It's all about how do we express love? How do we, in this time of divisiveness, in this time of apparent separation, how do we come home to unity? What does unity look like to you? What does unity look like to you? And as you walk through each moment of each day, as you're interacting with other people, as you're interacting with yourself, how can, asking yourself the question, how can I express unity now? Does this look like unity? These thoughts that I'm having, is this way that I'm reacting to this person I'm seeing on TV, or this person that I'm interacting with on Facebook, or these posts that I'm reading on Facebook, or whatever the social media platform may be? Is this what unity looks like? Is this what oneness looks like? Is this what service looks like? Is this what love looks like? These are the questions that we have to constantly ask. Is this what love looks like? Is this the way that I want to live my life? Is this the way I want to be in life? Is this the way that, is this what walking each other home means to me? Because I may not like the behavior of the other person. I may not like the things that I hear. I may not like some of the things that I see. I may not like the way that different people express themselves, but I have to know that each one of us is an expression of the divine. Each one of us is an expression of the divine. Our behavior may not be. The behavior we can separate from the person. And so when we come to know that each one of us is an expression of the divine, that I'm expressing God, and so are you. I'm an expression, an individualized expression of God, and so are you. And so is that person over there. So is that person that I really am put off by their behavior, or whatever the case may be. How can I be in a place of love in this moment as I listen to them? How can I be in a place of unity in this moment as I'm talking to them? How can I be in a place of love and a place of unity right here and right now? How can I be of service? And the way that we can be of service, first of all, is by the way we are with that in our own selves. When we come to the place where we are really anchoring ourselves in the power and the presence of God, the power and the presence of the only thing that is, then that's how we are starting out being of service. But by taking care of ourselves first, making sure that we are anchored first. And then as we look through those eyes of oneness, then we get to see more oneness. We get to elevate our vibration. We get to elevate our own way of being in the world. And as we do that, then we start to attract more of that into us, and we start to put more of that vibration out into the world. And so I'm just inviting you today to just really look at, how are you going through this time? And yes, these are difficult times. These are difficult times. There are difficult things happening. There are things that happen that create so much sadness, and the things that are happening that create so much grief. But the Dalai Lama says that the grief is an expression of the depth of our love. Grief is an expression of the depth of our love. Because if we didn't love deeply, we couldn't grieve. We couldn't feel the grief. We couldn't feel all that. And so what we want to do is to know that, yes, there is so much going on. And we don't want to do a spiritual bypass on it. We don't want to act like it doesn't exist. We don't want to stick our heads in the sand and play ostrich, like, well, there's nothing going on, and move into just ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist. We want to just be where we are. Be where we are. Start out by just acknowledging what's going on, acknowledging what you see, acknowledging what's happening, and then check in to see how you're feeling about that. Acknowledge your feelings about it. Acknowledge your sadness. Acknowledge your grief. Acknowledge your anger. Acknowledge whatever your emotions may be. And then breathe in and just be present with it. Just be present with it. And as we're present with it, we begin to acknowledge even more and become aware even more of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we are about to say, or whatever the case may be. And as we become more and more aware of this, then we have the opportunity to move into that place of center, to anchor ourselves into that place of oneness, to anchor ourselves into that place of the all that is, to do what we know to do, to take care of ourselves, to move out of the energy of all the stuff that's going on. You see, we're always at choice point. In every moment, we have a choice. In every moment, we have a choice. And in every moment, we make a choice. We have a choice and we make a choice in each and every moment. We can choose to get caught up in what's going on. We can choose to get caught up in the separation. We can choose to get caught up in the angst. We can choose to get caught up in the fear, because there's a lot of fear going on. There's a lot of fear out here right now. We can choose to get caught up in that, or we can see it and we can choose to go to faith. We can see it and we can choose to go to prayer. We can see it and we can choose to deepen in our spiritual practice. So we recognize we have a choice when we see it, and then we make a choice about what we're going to do. We're always at choice point. And so I'm inviting you to really be present and see what's going on, acknowledge what's going on, and then make that choice. Make that choice that leads you to unity. Make that choice that leads you to love. Make that choice that comes from the place of unity, and that choice that comes from a place of love. And that's how we are being in service. That's how we're being in service to ourselves. And when we're making those choices that come from a place of love and a place of unity, then we are making that choice that is of service to others also. And service is so closely tied to giving, because that's what it is. Service is giving. It's giving. We're always giving of ourselves. We're giving of ourselves. Or of course, there's that altruistic giving, where we are donating to good causes, or we are volunteering at hospitals, or feeding the homeless, or doing some altruistic kind of thing. That is the kind of service traditionally that we think of when we talk about service. But also there's that deeper service where we are giving of ourselves, where we're giving of ourselves. We're operating from the heart space. We are offering a smile, offering a helping hand, offering support, offering a listening ear. We're moving through our lives and our day with an open heart, with a place where we're operating from the heart, but we're operating from a place of recognizing our oneness with someone else, recognizing our oneness with all of life. And when we're doing that, then we're operating from a different space. We're operating from a different place. And sometimes it takes us a minute to get there. Sometimes it takes us a minute to get there. Sometimes it takes us more than a minute to get there. Depends on what's going on. And I invite you to really take the time that it takes. This is the time now. This is a time now to really deepen in what we know. This is a time to really use the principles and the practices of the science of mind. This is a time to really use the principles and the practices that we learn here, that we teach here. And Ernest Holmes said, how do you use the science of mind? You use the science of mind by using it. You use the science of mind by using it. And we can talk about it all day, but if we don't use it, if we don't use these principles, if we don't use these practices, then what's it all about? What's it all about, Alfie? What is it all about? It's about really walking through this life in unity. It's about walking through this life in peace. It's about walking through this life in harmony. It's about walking through this life in balance. It's about walking through this life in oneness. It's about walking through this life in love, in love. And that's what I'm inviting each one of us to do, to really, really look at how are we walking through this life, and how are we walking each other through this life? Because when we are walking each other, we are being present to each other. We're being present to each other. We're being present to each other. That's by, as I said, simply acknowledging, simply a smile, simply a glance, simply a listening ear, simply a nod, some random act of kindness, or some deliberate act of kindness, some thoughtfulness, some phone call, some connection, whatever it is we do, to let each other know that I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I am one with you. And just as we are one with all of life, I'm one with the person in front of me who is disagreeable. And knowing that as we go through this time together, as we go through this walking each other home, it doesn't mean that we always agree. It doesn't mean that we always agree. Sometimes we don't ever agree. Sometimes we don't, there's some people with whom we never agree. There's some situations with whom we never agree. But you know what? We can disagree without being disagreeable. We can disagree without being disagreeable. That's something that's really important to keep in mind. We can disagree without being disagreeable. We don't have to demonize others because we disagree. We don't have to move into that place of hatred and name calling and serious separation because we disagree with someone. We can disagree from a place of love. We can disagree with our hearts still open. We just disagree. And there are some things on which we may never agree. But the important thing is for us to keep in mind that we don't have to be disagreeable as we move through this time of apparent separation. We can let go of the bonds of separation and move into the vision of unity. We can allow the vision of unity to pull us as we are walking each other home. We allow the vision of unity to pull us. What does unity look like? Is this the way it feels? Is this the way it shows up in my life? Is this the way I want it to show up in my life? And asking these questions of ourselves all along as we go along. And as I said, being present to whatever is going on so that we can move through it from a place of centeredness. Be present to whatever is going on so that we can move through it from a place of centeredness. Again, we're not trying to move into spiritual bypass. We're not trying to move into ostrich mode. We are just being present to what's going on. This is what's happening. And this is the way I'm choosing to move through it. I'm choosing to deepen in my spiritual practice. I'm choosing to take this to prayer. We talked about prayer last month a lot, the prayer of power. I'm taking this into prayer and I'm going to speak the word. I'm going to speak the word with feeling. I'm going to speak the word knowing that it's already done. I'm going to speak the word and stand in the knowing that as I speak this word, the answer is already here. It has already been answered. And so when we move into that place of deepening in our spiritual practice, deepening in our meditation practice, if you're meditating once a day, start meditating twice a day, mornings and evenings, or 3 times a day, however many times you feel it necessary to go with that. I had an opportunity during this past week where a couple of times I just had to stop what I was doing and go and sit in meditation because there were some things that really got to the place where I needed to be real centered, much more centered than I was. There were things that happened that I allowed to kind of knock me off my center a little bit. That was because I allowed it to happen. And so I immediately recognized I wasn't as centered. So I needed to move back into that place of centeredness. And so just going and sitting into meditation, going and moving into that place of oneness and moving into alignment with peace, moving into alignment with love, moving into alignment with harmony, moving into alignment with God. That was what was necessary for me to do. That may be what is necessary for you to do. It may be necessary for you to do, but what other spiritual practices do you have? Sometimes sitting down, just reading something uplifting, reading something inspirational, When's the last time you picked up a book to read? Just something, that's a novel concept sometimes now because we get to see TV, we get to hear it on our iPhones, different things we listen to, different games we play, all that other kind of stuff. But what about just sitting down reading sometimes? Reading something inspirational, reading something that takes us into a different mindset, reading something that takes us into a different vibration, And when we do that, it brings us back into alignment with who we really are. It brings us back into unity with the all that is. It brings us back into unity with all there is, with the all that is. And so just remembering to deepen in your spiritual practice, do those things that bring you back to yourselves, that bring us home to ourselves. And when we come home to ourselves, then we can walk each other home, because home to ourselves is always to God. Home to ourselves is always to the all that is. And so when we walk each other home, we're walking each other home to the all that is. We're walking each other home to the all that is. The third thing I want you to do is just to remember that disarmament, a lot of which is being talked about right now, but disarmament is an inside job. Disarmament is an inside job. We have to disarm our hearts. We have to disarm our hearts. We have to disarm our hearts, no matter what else is going on outside, no matter what we're talking about when we're talking about disarmament. The disarmament starts in our hearts. It starts with that thing we call love. Love is, as Howard Thurman says, of all the weapons, love is the most deadly and the most devastating. And few are they who would trust their fate in its hands. Of all the weapons, love is the most deadly and devastating. And few are they who would trust their fate in its hands, is what Howard Thurman says. And so just think about it. Love is the most deadly and devastating weapon. When you can love in spite of, when you can love even when you can love no matter what, that can be deadly because it dissolves anything that appears to be opposed to it, that appears to be opposite to it. And so we want to be able to move into that place of love by keeping an open heart. And we keep an open heart the more we do our spiritual practice, the more we do our meditation, the more we do our prayer work, the more we do our being present to each other, the more we do the service, the more we are giving of ourselves, the more we are able to move into that place of love. So I invite you to dare to love, dare to love, dare to love in spite of what may be going on, dare to love. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes daring to love, because sometimes we find it difficult when certain things happen, when we see certain situations and circumstances that go on. It takes a rising above. It takes a rising above to that place of love. It takes a rising above to that place of unity. It takes a rising above to that place of alignment with the all that is. And that's what we are constantly being called to do, to rise above. We're constantly being called to love. We're constantly being called to love. And I'm asking you, are you ready? Are you ready to answer the call of love? Because that's what it's all about. Are you ready to answer the call of love? Are you ready to answer the call of love? That's a big question for us to ask ourselves. Is this what love looks like? Is this the best I can do with love right now? Is there more that I can do? Is there more loving that I can do? Is there more opening of my heart that I can do? Is there more opening of my heart that I can do? Is there more letting go that I can do? Is there more releasing that I can do? And you know what? This calls up forgiveness. Because when we dare to love, we have to forgive. When we dare to love, we have to forgive, because we've got to be willing to let it go. In the book, The Untethered Soul, the singer says that we don't have to reach for spirit. We just have to let go of anything that blocks. We don't have to reach for spirit. Spirit is already there. Love is already here. And all we need to do is to let go of anything that appears to block it. So we don't have to reach for love. We just have to open up and allow love to reveal itself. Allow love to reveal itself in and through and as our very life, in and through and as our very livingness in each and every moment of each and every day. In the song Alfie, the next to the last line is, when you walk, let your heart lead the way. When you walk, let your heart lead the way. When you walk, let your heart lead the way. As we walk through this life, as we walk with each other, as we walk each other home, let our hearts lead the way. Because that's the only way we can walk each other home, is with our hearts leading the way. And so I'm inviting you to do that, to allow our hearts to be freed up. Allow our hearts to let go of the stuff. Allow our hearts to be open. Allow our hearts to be open, because God walks through an open heart. And when we can remember who we are, when we can remember that we are made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit, if I can remember that about myself, I have to remember that about you. I have to remember that about you. And when I remember that, then I can move out of the them and us. I can move out of the anything that separates. When I can remember I'm made in the image and out of pure spirit, and we all are. We all are. We all walk in the love of God. We all walk in the love of God. We all walk in the love of God. The ground upon which I stand is holy ground. The ground upon which you stand is holy ground. These are the things that we have to keep in mind when we are talking about unity, when we're talking about service, when we're talking about walking each other home. And so I invite you today to really, really, really look at what walking each other home means to you this as you go through this week, as you interact with others this week, as you're interacting with yourself this week. Whether you're in person or on Zoom or on the phone or on Facebook or wherever you are, whenever we're interacting, whenever we're thinking of others, how are we walking each other home? Is this what we're doing? Is this what we're doing? This is the work for this week. This is your assignment this week, to really look at, what does this mean for me? How am I walking? How am I walking with my sister? How am I walking with my brother? How am I walking with my neighbor? How am I walking with God? That's the question. So let's turn within in this moment. Let's just take a breath as we turn within. Just moving into that place of knowing and sensing and feeling God's presence. Just knowing that there's only one power, knowing that there's only one presence, knowing that there's only one mind, knowing that there's only one life, knowing that there's only one breath, knowing that there's only one activity. That one is God. There's only one, no separation, can be no separation. There's only one. That one is my life. That one is a life of each of us here this day. That life, that one is a life and the source of all of us. The source of all is that one power and that one presence that I choose to call God. It is that from which I can never be separate. It is that from which I can never depart. And that is the same truth that I know for each one of us. And so from this place of awareness, from this place of truth, I speak this word for us this day. Just knowing that we are each made in the image and likeness and out of pure spirit, that we are each guided and directed every step of the way as we walk this walk home. That we are guided, we are guarded, we're protected, we are cared for, we're lifted up, we're loved. We're loved, we're healed in our body temples and our bodies of affairs. Any sense of separation that we may have had is dissolved by the word that's being spoken here this day, and health and wholeness are revealing themselves right here and right now. Love is revealing itself in every aspect of our being, every aspect of our lives. Love is revealing itself right here and right now. Wholeness is revealing itself right here and right now. All needs are being met in each and every moment of each and every day. Abundance and prosperity are revealing themselves right here and right now in each and every moment. Light is revealing itself wherever there appears to be darkness. Peace is revealing itself where there's discord, where there's chaos. Forgiveness is revealing itself. All the qualities of God are revealing themselves in each and every life, right here and right now. This word goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day. This word goes out to anyone who is suffering loss of any kind right here and right now, just knowing that the comforting presence of God is right where each one is, blessing and keeping them. This word is going out to anyone who needs anything this day, knowing that God shows up as the thing itself, whatever it is we may need. God shows up as that thing itself, knowing that all indeed is well, knowing that God is in the midst of everything. And so in the circle of prayer, I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer. You may speak their names silently or loud, but you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names are spoken here this day, I know that God is in the midst of everything, that God is in the midst of everything, that God is right where they are, right here and right now, and that all indeed is well. And so I simply say, thank you, Father, Mother God, for the word spoken here this day. Thank you for the perfect manifestation of this word spoken this day. I know that all is well, for I know that all is God. I simply allow it to be now. And so it is.